Yeah, we're live, but we're going down memory lane.
Wait, hold on.
Morning announcements.
Before we go live, what episode is this?
It is 3:30.
Las 3:30.
Yes, it's time to get out of school.
Las 3:30. Welcome, everybody, to episode 330 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Yes, 330.
330. I'm wearing purple, and it's not San Lazaro Day.
Mira, but we were just talking about Southwest, so that makes
We
sense.
were talking about our alma mater, Southwest. Where has it... Listeners, where did you go to high school?
I thought you were going to say, where have all the Cowboys gone? But,
Well, no. So we both went to Southwest. Junior went to Columbus.
Yes.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Could not be less of a private school looking guy if I pegged him for
I was supposed to go to Braddock, so
He seems...
that I believe.
Braddock.
You seen either a Braddock or a Sunset High.
Yeah.
Sunset High.
Those were the two.
Those were the two?
Yeah.
top two.
See?
Yeah.
Yo lo fado tengo bueno todavía.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem a Miami High.
No.
Yeah.
Not Coral Gables.
Not Coral Gables
No,
either.
definitely not Coral Park.
No. He seems, west of the Palmetto.
Right. Like Southwest if he had gotten a dispensation. Yeah.
I love in Hialeah how there are the people that are like, I went to Hialeah High, and then it's like I went to
HMO.
HMO,
Hialeah, Miami Lakes.
Miami Lakes. It's like, no.
It is
Don't
not,
confuse the
no es
two.
lo mismo ni se escribe igual.
And then there's American High.
And Barbara Goldman, too. No.
Barbara Goldman.
Oh, I always forget about her. Oh,
Ay, Barbara.
poor Barbara. Barbara Goldman.
Our big rivalry was Coral Park.
Yes, it was.
Southwest and Coral Park.
The funny thing is that they were our big rival, especially within sports, but then we always had the Turkey Bowl with Coral Gables.
Coral Gables.
Yeah.
And it's funny because our as I said, our rival was Coral Park. And I think when we were juniors in high school, somebody's great idea was to book Signature Gardens and have both of our homecomings there.
They were both there. I forgot about that.
Let's talk about Signature Gardens for a moment. You have to be an OG Miamian to remember this. Do you guys remember Signature Gardens?
Well, I mean, I do. I went to many a homecoming there.
Homecomings, proms, quinces,
I don't think I went to a quince.
I went to a
No,
quince.
I did.
I went to a wedding.
Una prima mía.
company parties.
I went to weddings. I went to a couple.
Signature Gardens was the shit. Like,
It really was.
you know why? Because Signature Gardens, this was at a time where
Welcome to Banquet Talk.
banquet talk on Pero let me tell you. This was a time when a lot of us, we had like gone a little bit more bougie than your typical banquet hall in a shopping center.
Yeah, like we were no longer sawered with rice pilaf and cordon bleu.
Right.
We needed it
in a shopping
buffet.
center,
Yes.
off of, Bird Road.
Right.
But we weren't yet at like the ballroom of like the Mandarin Oriental.
Correct.
Or the ballroom of like,
This was our transition.
not
phase.
even the Hilton. Like,
No.
we needed an in between. So Signature Gardens
Was the in-between.
I mean, again, this is something that you got to be from Miami and
Yeah.
of a certain age to remember.
But I'm sure that all cities have this. Like that one place that is like
this was like an elevated banquet hall.
right. It's on your way up to
It
graduating.
had a big cascade fountain inside.
Yeah, wait, it had like a lobby,
Yeah.
like a lobby.
Junior, did you ever go to Signature Gardens?
Yes.
Of course.
Many times.
Many times, many homecomings, many proms, and all that.
Just all of it. Oh, I think they didn't even have like one of our senior like banquets like there too.
The senior banquet.
The senior banquet was there,
Yeah.
That.
Signature Gardens, if you know, you know. So,
Yes.
anyway, bueno, ¿qué me dicen about the Super Bowl? And when I mean the Super Bowl, I mean Kendrick Lamar. In halftime.
because I mean the game in and of itself was just boring.
That I have to say, and I think that, like, for example, you don't really follow sports. You're not a sports person.
I know enough to carry a
But
conversation.
you
But
do watch Super Bowl. But even you were saying that like this game was like a beating. Like,
it was just bad.
it was
just awful. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, me hubiera dado pena.
with the Chiefs.
Yeah. Like if I was the Chiefs, I would have been like, you know what, you're right. Change the name of our team right now.
Right, and clearly,
we're offending everyone.
I mean, obviously, they're a competitive.
They've won the Super Bowl. It's
they
not
won the
like-
Super Bowl several times, 2 times back to back. You know,
Yeah.
obviously they got to the Super Bowl this year, but this was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, like again, daba pena. Like
Really,
pena
really
ajena.
bad.
Yeah.
It's funny because they're trolling Travis Kelce because did you see him leaving the stadium?
No.
Oh my gosh, have you seen it, Junior? It was hilarious. So he left.
If I was
the
him, I would have
stadium-
done a smoke bomb
He
like a
left
ninja.
the stadium wearing this like sequined like shirt and like pants that the pants were kind of like bell bottom-ish.
That's where my outfit went.
Right. And it was like, it was shiny. And they were like, Travis, you should have picked an outfit in case you lost too. Like, because this is what you wear when you win, as ridiculous as it was.
You know what though? Sometimes when you lose, you have to lift yourself up.
Right. Yeah, I guess. So, what did you think? Because everybody else online has given their opinion for a week at this point.
Yeah.
What did you think about the halftime show?
So, okay, I will say, and we've mentioned this on the show before, like, I don't really know Kendrick Lamar's music.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't sit here and be like, oh my God, it was fantastic. It was phenomenal. I love Kendrick. Like,
You don't know Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe?
I mean, I've said that, but I don't know it.
You don't know swimming pools?
Been in them.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I don't like, I know who he is. I don't know his music. Like, I'm not going to sit here and even pretend. Right. So I feel like I can't judge his performance from that angle. Right. Because I'm not going to sit here and be like, it was an awful performance. Well, I don't know his songs. Like I told you the other day, I'm like, I'm able to look at a performance and be like, that was a good performance. It was, did what it was there. It kept it moving. It kept the pace, but not everything is for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I watch war movies, for instance, I don't like war movies, but I can tell you it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't care for it because it's not my cup of tea.
Right.
You know what I mean? I will say this. I want those pants, and I'm sure there's a version on them somewhere on Shein, and I'm going to find it.
I'm sure Old Navy's coming out with them as we speak.
Well, listen, I'll buy it at Old Navy too.
Or Gap or whatever.
Yeah.
But
No, Old Navy, because we spoke about Old Navy, and maybe we can get that sponsorship.
Yeah. But you were okay with it?
I was fine with it. I didn't have an issue. I mean, the sound was off, but that's...
Yeah. No, I think that's where we were watching it.
Really? Because I heard from other people that the sound was off.
Well, because I saw it online like the next day, but maybe they had fixed the sound, obviously, by then. Yeah. So I'm of two minds of it. I love Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
And I loved it. I thought... Well, I'll first say more of the critical part of it. I think that the Super Bowl, especially now in this age of social media and that everybody has an opinion and everybody goes online and says something,
within 10
including
minutes.
us.
That's what we do.
You're always going to have people criticize. You're always going to have half of the country that doesn't like it, because now we live in a world of halves, right? That doesn't like it, that are critical of it, whatever it may be. Because look, I can think of every Super Bowl halftime show in the last several years that there's a set of people that love it and a set of people that don't like it. Right. And there's no in between, right? You either loved it or you hated it.
I'm
right?
in between.
Right. Yeah, but I don't think most people are as, down the middle as you are. They either love it or they hate it. Because I remember in 2021 when The Weeknd did the Super Bowl, a lot of people thought it was like the worst Super Bowl halftime ever. Right. I remember when Jennifer Lopez and Shakira did the Super Bowl, a lot of people were upset that, of the way they were dressed. A lot of people had problems that it was too Latinas, that Jennifer Lopez pole danced. Like, people are very divided on that performance. So this is no different, right? Kendrick Lamar, I as much as I love him, I also understand he's not as mainstream as other people.
I was having this conversation on Monday.
He's had mainstream moments, but he's not as mainstream. So I get that there's a lot of people that are not going to get it.
It's funny you say that, because on this past Monday was my sister's birthday, and we all went out to dinner, and I was saying that same thing to my nephews, and my nephews are very big into hip hop. So they were like, yeah, he is. And I'm like, but he's not. He is to you because you're into that music, right? Into that genre. But if you look at, and we've talked about this, like in the past, it's been someone like a Madonna, Justin Timberlake,
Usher,
the Rolling Stones.
Right.
These are very, very mainstream. And when we say mainstream, we mean literally like from 7 to 70. People have some understanding of who they are.
He is and he isn't. I think if you follow hip hop, like I love Kendrick Lamar, and I've always known who Kendrick Lamar is, but I follow hip hop. Like, for example, Kendrick Lamar is the only musician that has a Pulitzer Prize.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean,
really?
Yes, for writing.
Okay.
Right? Because he's very much the poet, right? And so musically, he's very respected. I get it. to me, he's a big deal because he's within my echo chamber. But I understand there's a lot of people that don't know his music. I get that. And in addition to that, a lot of the songs he played were not his popular. Like he didn't
the singles,
right? He didn't do "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe." He didn't do, as I said, "Swimming Pools." The biggest hits that he did was "Humble," and then obviously the song with SZA.
Right.
You knew "Humble," right?
Yeah.
Right. That's a really popular song.
But again, one song.
And obviously he did the song of Drake.
Is that a thing?
That a thing. But here's where I just think that people need to like simmer down. As you said very well, you can see something and say, hey, maybe this is not for me. But I get that there's a story being told here.
Right.
And I get that maybe I'm not the person who I'm the target audience for this type of music, but I get that he's trying to tell a story or his story. I thought the performance was great. I thought the symbolism was great from the whole thing.
Sam Jackson is Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, but the whole thing of the video game. And then the thing is that it was filled with Easter eggs. For example, the car he came out of, that's a car, the Grand National, the Buick one. That is from his music, from a music video that he did before. The whole thing of the that it was a controller, an Xbox controller, is because of the whole symbolism. PlayStation, excuse me. See, that's something I'm not into. Is gaming. Is that, we're being like controlled. Everything had a lot of symbolism, and I get that a lot of people are not going to get it, but you can watch it and be like, okay, there's something going on here.
Right.
I saw somebody online, this guy who very eloquently stated that, he was like a middle-aged white guy from the Midwest. And, he was saying, like, when I was in school, I would read Shakespeare and I didn't get it because it wasn't in my language, but I understood that there was something great. Oh. So even if I didn't understand it, I understood the complexity of it, and made me want to research more on it, even if it's something that it wasn't for me. And he said of his performance, of Kendrick Lamar's performance, that's not my language, but I understood that he's a musician and he was telling a story, and it made me want to look into the story more.
Right.
And he's like, that's the way you should approach things. So I mean, I really liked it.
If only more people approach things that way.
I really liked it. I think that, if you didn't like it, that's okay. You don't have to love it. But I think that you have to have an open mind because
but it also doesn't have to be for you.
I don't care for, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone, I do not care for country music at all. At all. I don't care for country music. If next year they told me that a country music artist was doing the halftime show, I'd be like, great. And I'd watch it and I enjoy it.
Right.
Right. Even if it's not something that speaks to me, country music does not speak to me. And I've tried. It doesn't speak to me. It's not something I'm into. But, I'll sit down and enjoy the show. And, maybe I'm not going to know a single song, but, I understand that it's something that means a lot to a lot of people, and obviously, if they made it to the Super Bowl halftime stage, is because they must be really good at what they do.
And it's resonating with someone,
right? And it's resonating with someone, and it has hits. But of course, we live in an age where there's no subtlety. You either love something or you hate it.
And here's the thing: I'm okay with that if the criticisms on I'm going to say on like both sides, right? Was actual critiques, right? As opposed to like, oh, what is this? Oh, I don't get it. And like, as if though, because you don't understand something that automatically makes it bad.
Yeah.
Right? Again, it's not for you, and it doesn't have to be for you.
I do think that the greatest thing, obviously, what everybody's talking about is how in that stadium and around the world, the moment where everybody was like, and it's probably A minor. I mean, the fact that a diss track made it to the Super Bowl
after
stage,
winning a Grammy,
after winning 5 Grammys in the same week, is sort of incredible. Yes. And I mean, I don't know where Drake goes from here. Drake should not respond. I just think Drake. No. And it's nothing against Drake. I like Drake too. I like Drake.
But there's not like he. It would be like a throwing a pebble into an ocean.
I just think that.
Where do you come back from?
They're not like us, like especially the momentum that song has had. there's sometimes you just have to walk away from something.
You just have to be like, you know what? I tip my hat, sir.
Whether he wants to say he won or not, that's up to him. But there's some things that you don't need to respond to.
Sometimes when you win, you don't even have to say it.
Yeah. And if you lose, you don't have to say it either.
Exactly.
You just walk away.
Move on to the next project.
Because I don't see how Drake comes back from that.
No. Just reboot Degrassi.
And I mean, look, Drake has a huge fan base, and he has a catalog of hits, and he's
not hurting.
It'd be great if he does Super Bowl next year.
That would be great. That would be great if we have a biracial Canadian Jew do the Super Bowl next year.
Kiki, do you love me? Do you like Drake?
I've told you I like Drake insofar, like when you tell me like, oh, Kendrick or Drake, I told you I'm like, I like Drake, but I like Drake not because of his music, because I don't think his songs are good. It's just because I watched Degrassi, so I have there's a piece of.
You don't think his songs are good?
They're catchy, they're okay, but like I maybe there's two of them, and yet Drake has like what 6,012 #1 hits. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like it's that thing. So I mean,
Aubrey's come a long way.
Aubrey Graham, yes, he learned to walk again.
Yeah.
Yes.
In stages around the country.
Yes. Anything, you can achieve anything, even if you are Canadian.
When you leave tonight, I want you to listen to some Kendrick songs.
Okay.
Start with Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. That's a good gym song.
I don't think I've ever heard you say the word bitch as much as you have in the last like 10 minutes, and I've known you for 30 plus years.
Dude, don't kill my vibe, bitch. Why you got to do that?
It's like I'm on a very weird alternate version of Drag Race. Like just bitch. Like
no, that's not my bitch.
That's not your vibe, bitch.
No. I mean, listen. If Drag Race had a Super Bowl, I would be giving that answer. I'm like, it's not my thing,
right?
But I appreciate the art.
Right.
I appreciate the art.
That would be an interesting Super Bowl.
So, if RuPaul does the Super Bowl halftime show, I'm all for it.
Like, let's have it. Let's do it.
Like he comes out singing Supermodel, and a bunch of queens come out. I think
how they could pull it off.
How?
You know how they could pull it off?
How?
Again, it couldn't be It could not be the Drag Race Super Bowl halftime show, right? Because that's too much, right? Mm-hmm. But if Dolly Parton did the halftime show, and she was like, "Come on, y'all, I'm gonna bring out some women out here who are just as fake as I am," and RuPaul comes out with drag queens, that's the only way they're sneaking that shit onto the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Dolly makes everything good.
Dolly can do it.
Speaking of Dolly, I actually was reading because people are like, "Oh, who should do it next?" And somebody gave an answer that I thought was really interesting, and I wouldn't have said her because I still think of her as not big enough to do Super Bowl, but it was Miley Cyrus, because they said Miley Cyrus already has a catalog, and the thing about Miley Cyrus is that she could have hell of guest stars. She could have Stevie Nicks.
Oh, that's true.
She could have Dolly Parton. She could have country music. She could have her dad.
She could bring hip hop.
Right. She has like so much. It's funny because I wouldn't pick Miley Cyrus, but I think that if that
makes sense,
that could work. That could work. I mean, can you imagine if she comes out and does that song at
Party in the USA?
No, the one that's the Stevie Nicks song.
Midnight. Oh my God! No, I'm thinking Edge of 17. But yes, that one.
Right, but it's based on it.
Yeah,
I mean, Stevie Nicks.
That's
so
true.
you have an audience there. Obviously, there's country to her. You have an audience there. Then obviously the more contemporary stuff.
She's worked with Pharrell.
I mean, and it could be a dual halftime show. Hannah Montana.
Let me tell you something. That would be great if she comes out and they're like the halftime show, and she comes out as Hannah Montana.
No, it'd be great if it'd be the halftime show. Hannah Montana, headlined by Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus. And she comes out in a huge wrecking ball.
See, now you put things in my head that I want
like
to happen.
A wrecking ball comes out from one side of the stadium.
And she just flies in.
But I don't think that would work because she has to start off as Hannah.
Right. Oh,
she's not going to go from Miley to Hannah.
No, you know what? That's okay. No, here's the transition. She starts off as Hannah, but then when she gets on the wrecking ball, the wig flies off as she flies over.
Okay.
So, I'm here to provide solutions.
I don't know. Who do you think should do Super Bowl?
I don't know. It's always interesting. I do think that they should mix it up a little bit. I think now, we've had enough. We've had. I mean, I don't want to say we've had enough, but we've had a very strong, hip hop leaning contingency, and I think let's mix it up a little bit.
That I was speaking to a friend of mine this week, and he was like, because I was like having this conversation with him, and he's like, I don't know, bro. Like, who should it be? Like Coldplay? And I'm like, dude, Coldplay did it the other day, and a few years ago, and it's like, oh yeah, but that's right. Everybody forgets that it was Coldplay because all they know is Beyonce. Because Beyonce stole that show.
That's true.
Yeah, Beyonce and Bruno Mars. Anyway, so I wanted to mention something that I thought this was really interesting, and when I was reading about it, I thought it was a really good topic for the podcast. So I was reading earlier this week in a magazine that they were talking about how families are smaller now.
Yes.
Right. And people don't have as many kids as they used to. A lot of people are only children in like the last generation or two. And specifically to Latin families, we are raising kids without many primos and tías and tíos.
Well, yeah, because there's less people, right?
Yeah. And I was thinking like, Tristan doesn't have many tías or primos. Then I thought of all the kids around me, and I'm like, it's the same thing. Whereas we had a phone book of cousins and tías.
Just one.
And they were saying how, like, in Latin culture, which, as we know, your tías and your primos are like your siblings. Like, it's true. Your primos are like your siblings. And how, with people having less children nowadays, and a lot of people that are only children themselves now having kids, a lot of these kids in the newer generation are being raised without the presence of many primos and many tías and tíos like we did.
That extended family,
which was sort of your nuclear family as well. Yeah. Because when people talk about nuclear families, they think of mom, dad, and your brother or sister. But to us Latin people, your nuclear family are your cousins and your aunts and uncles, because you're raised together, and your cousins are your brothers and sisters. Your aunts and uncles are like your second parents. So I just thought it was really interesting that doesn't seem to be as popular as it once was. And again, I started looking at the kids around me, and I found that is definitely true.
I will say, to your point, it's telling that, in English it's first cousin, and in Spanish it's primo hermano.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's literally baked into the DNA of how you describe them,
Yeah.
And that I hadn't stopped to think about it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, granted, a lot of us also have these huge extended families because, I mean, times change, obviously. Way back when, you had to have, I mean, I know our parents aren't like 1,000 years old, but you had to have these huge families because you need people to work the farm and to help in the house and all those things. And so as that obviously becomes less of a need, especially once you many times leave your country, you can't afford that many kids, number one, but it's also just there's no necessity for it. And so you don't have to have 8 kids. You have 2.
Right. But I think it's more noticeable in Latin families because of the relationships we had. Like, I started thinking of my kid. My kid only has 2 cousins. Then I was thinking of my cousin's kids. And then my cousin's kids. My cousin's kids only have 1 cousin. Right. And then I started thinking of like other people, like even your nephews only have one cousin.
Have one cousin, yeah.
Right. And then it's like, man, I had a little league team.
But it's funny because but then my cousins, all of their kids they're all with my nephews are about the same age. So they all grew up together with them.
Right.
So they were able to do that.
And it's always a comment of like, porque la gente hoy no se visitan como eran antes and all that. And that is true.
That is true.
Because I remember as a kid, nosotros hacíamos mucha visita.
Yeah.
¿Tú no hacías visita?
We did. I felt like we would.
But weekday visitas.
I don't remember weekday visitas that much as weekend visitas because during the week we had, activities. So I don't
know. No, we had weekday visitas también. I remember that we would go to whoever's house y estaban viendo la novela.
See, we wouldn't do that because my grandparents would come over to my parents' house.
No, but these were other visitas other than my grandparents.
No. That's why I'm saying we wouldn't necessarily go to other people's houses because my grandparents would come to our house.
Okay.
So
venían a la casa.
Right.
Venían a la casa. Yeah. Primos, man. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And again, I didn't stop to think about the impact of that. And it is funny because when you think about it, I think a lot of us understand socialization because of that forced friendship, right? Where it's like, these are your cousins and you are going to be around them whether you like it or not, and you have to learn how to navigate with it. Well, you don't realize it's happening at the time, but you're learning to navigate different personalities and and how to handle it.
But I think also specifically with Latin culture, in combination with just the times, because for example, my kid may not have that many cousins, but then our friends is our chosen family. So for example, a lot of the kids of my friends are like my kids' cousins.
Well, I mean, I say it all the time. I mean, I have my nephews, but Tristan is an extension of my nephew.
Right.
The girls are my nieces.
And God knows he loves you.
Yes.
You know he does love you, right?
I do.
You know that he really misses you coming to the house as much as you do. I'm like, well, instead of coming 4 times a week, now he comes 2 times.
Yeah. I mean, look, see, I'm reducing la visita. I'm part of the statistic. I'm part of the statistic.
Anyway, so another thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was really interesting, and it's a really cool point of conversation. So, we live in a time now that we're sort of like upset a lot of times of tech companies and
unprecedented times.
Tech companies are forcing all these things on us and forcing updates and maybe technology that we don't even need.
Right.
And there's a bit of a movement now of like over engineering and over updates that like, the example I saw was like, let's say you're going out and you want to valet. Okay. Before, they would give you a ticket and you would then give them the money, right? Easy.
I mean, this is a very simple process. Yeah.
Right. Now it's like you have to download an app to your phone. In many places, yes.
Really?
You've never done an app valet through an app?
I don't think so.
Yeah. You have to.
Okay, but also remember that I tend to Uber a lot of places, so maybe that's why.
No. So for like something as simple as a valet, in many places now, like you have to download an app, set up the app, put in a username and password, then you have to pay the person through the app. And now you just went through this whole process of paying something that should have been so simple. The same thing with parking. Now in most places to park, you have to download an app, set up a username, set up a password, set up your credit card. And something that used to be so simple becomes now super complicated. What about if you don't have your phone? What about if you don't have a credit card on you? So now it's like this technology that's forced upon us. And, some of these things are convenient. Like I think the parking app is convenient
in the long run.
I use it, but then I realize that there's a lot of people that maybe aren't savvy with their smartphones. Maybe they don't have a smartphone. And then it's like you are given an option. You're given no option actually. And they're making you feel like that this is so convenient, but it's not convenient to a lot of people. So, I mean, I was just wondering, like, do a lot of people think, or do you think that things are just like over engineered and just too many apps and too many updates? Because I think there's also a sort of advantage to things just being simple. And now a lot of times with technology, something that was simple now becomes a complicated undertaking.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it's always under the guise of convenience, right? Mm-hmm. It's always under, or the intention, not the guise, that sounds sinister. It's always under the intention of it's more convenient, it's easier now. And, some things are, but I think that sometimes it comes back to, and I'm probably going to butcher the line, Junior, you probably know it from Jurassic Park, where, you were so busy thinking about if you could, you never stopped to think if you should. Mm-hmm. Right? And so just because you can do something, to your point of like we're over technologizing everything, right? Like you can do this, yes, that's great, but to what end? Like what's the point? What's the ultimate end goal here? And look, the cynic in me can make the argument that the ultimate end goal is just to automize everything, so you don't actually have to pay anybody to do these things. It's a cost cutting measure. I mean, we can look at, Meta cutting its workforces literally this week and being like, yeah, we're getting rid of all these people and we're literally going to staff their job with, AI software engineer, meant to blah, 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 whatever. Right. So it's like, well, then don't tell me that you're doing it for the betterment of anyone, because then it's not, it's a cost cutting effort.
Right.
At the end
They're
of the
making
day.
you believe something that's not.
Right. It's like, don't pee on my head and tell me it's raining.
Do you sometimes do things, or when given the option of to go the technology route or the analog route, do you choose? Because for example, many times I will not go through self checkout. Especially if the line in regular checkout is really long, okay, I'll go through self checkout. But if they're both short, I will go through the cash register.
Yeah. I mean, I would. It's funny because I will 9 times out of 10. I think I go through self checkout just because there's no such thing as a short line when I'm there. Especially not at Aldi when I go before a pop up. So it's always the self checkout. But yeah, I think a part of me, as a former cashier, can appreciate wanting to keep people employed. There's something to just like I may need somebody's help, and then because I've been there where you're at the self checkout. And for whatever reason, the machine gets stuck or something's not scanning or whatever. And now you basically have to push the little button and you have to stand there and you have to wait. And, just like you, there's 20 other people who are needing that person. So now the time you thought you were going to be saving, you're stuck.
There's the CVS by my house. I don't know if this is true of all CVSs, but the CVS by my house got rid of all the cash registers. I think there was like one, but it's not open. Right?
Okay, it's like backup.
Right, it's backup. And it has like 3 or 4 self-checkout machines. And I think that in a place like CVS, it's a really big inconvenience. And the CVS by my house that I always go to, there's always a huge queue for the self-checkout because a lot of older people get a lot of anxiety and they get very nervous scanning the thing. And then especially CVS that has so many coupons and so many prompts and price differences, it can be, I sometimes mess up. So imagine somebody who's older, somebody who did not grow up on technology. And then what happens more often than not is that the attendant has to be like a chicken with their head cut off, running around the store, and helping these people, and then they have to go to what they were doing before, and then they have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
You just had the register open,
right? Or if you had a few, but like clearly that's company policy. That's not up to the manager there. Right. And I think it's a huge inconvenience. It's huge disservice because you know what? I don't mind waiting a few minutes more, but if you have a queue of like 5-6 people, right, that are just standing there while, Zenaida y Matilde están en el self-checkout and they can't scan it. ¡Ay, el cupón! Esto me mancó $8, pero aquí dice $5.99, we laugh at it.
I agree with you.
But it does cause a sense of anxiety to older people and just I think in the long run inconvenience.
I agree with you. However, I will regale.
It's great content.
By all means, keep using it. But there was a moment where I was at a CVS that did have a register open. It did have the self-checkout, and Matilde and Zenaida still were at the self-checkout despite the fact that they had no idea how to use it or what was going on. So, sometimes Zenaida and Matilde,
well, maybe they didn't know the cash register was there.
It was right next to the.
Puede ser la de perfume.
No, it's not Navarro. It's CVS.
Yeah. No, CVS sells perfume.
Yeah, but they don't have like the perfume out there at the front of the thing.
And yes, they do. Y necesitas la llavecita para que te lo den.
Behind the register?
Yes.
Oh, I've never noticed. I know they have a perfume section, but I've never noticed.
The CVS fragrance department.
Oh.
Which, what's great about buying perfumes at CVS, that if you ever have like a 50% off your CVS phone number thing, you could use it on perfume.
Oh
yeah. So that $100 perfume is now $50.
Speaking of, by the way, I'm just going to make a direct plea here. Navarro, you are owned by CVS. You need to start accepting the CVS Extra Care card.
They don't?
They do not. And it's very annoying. You need to start. All right? Hasta aquí llego.
All right. Tell them, Soldier Boy.
I'm telling Mr. and Mrs. Navarro.
Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my...
That's exactly what they're doing. They're killing my vibe by not taking the CVS Extra Care award.
I think what you're going to learn from this is that you're going to go on your iTunes or whatever, or Apple Music, and look up, or your Spotify, look up Essential Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, I'm sure there's an essential playlist already.
No, I'm sure there was one before last Sunday.
No, but more so now.
Do you like Kendrick Lamar Jr.?
Yes.
Junior's my boy.
You and Junior have a lot of things in common.
We do have a lot of things in common.
You do.
We do.
Somos como primo hermano.
Como el primo hermano, ¿viste? Ya somos primo hermano.
There you go, primo hermano. It's just funny. I never stopped to think about it until you were saying that. It's like, yeah, in English it's first cousin, and in Spanish it's primo hermano.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like the family is baked into the
your primo hermano. Yeah. And your tía política is your tía.
Yes.
Isn't that a great name in Spanish?
I love that she's not tia, like, because it's not a political thing. It's government, if anything.
Tu tío político is not an uncle you have in politics. Your tío político is the person who's not related to you that is married your real aunt or uncle.
Yeah.
But we love our
political.
Listen, my political aunt is one of my favorite people in the
Your
world.
political aunt is fantastic.
My political aunt is...
She's anything if not political. She's anti-PC.
That would be the understatement of the year. That would be the understatement. That woman drops F-bombs and all types of bombs. Like,
yeah. If only it was only F-bombs.
I mean, we need to move on or we'll be canceled.
She is wonderful. I absolutely adore her.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you have anything else on your...
I have a couple.
On your thing. Okay.
It's your turn.
Because I wanted to bring something up that, you know, when I read this headline, and we haven't really talked about this gentleman, that's fine. We don't have to talk about him per se, but the headline annoyed the...
What gentleman?
Well, you're going to get to it. The headline annoyed the fuck out of me because all you hear is lately is like, you know, las cosas están malas, no hay trabajo, no hay dinero, no se puede, you can't afford anything, and all this and that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how I felt when with that in my head, reading this headline. Luigi Mangione accepts nearly $300,000 from fans for legal defense in his murder case.
From fans?
Yes. First of all, the use of the word fans there is wrong. Yeah. But that's the headline. $300,000.
Well, he's gonna need it.
That people, yeah, but okay, fair enough. But that people felt, oh, las cosas están malas, están horribles.
I will say something about that.
But I'm going to help.
But I will say something about that's not even where I went with that. A lot of people that are defending him, I'm just going to say it. A lot of people that are defending him because we talked about him here?
We have not. Because again, this was during like the 5 weeks when everything happened in the world and we were on hiatus.
I think the healthcare system is disgusting.
It's broken beyond.
It's disgusting, broken. It's unfair. It's terrible.
All of it.
It needs to be overhauled. It's just inequitable. It has inequities. Right. It's just, it is so terrible, so unfair, so cruel. The healthcare system in this country is cruel. But I don't subscribe to the theory that somebody should be killed. Right. I don't subscribe to that theory.
Because that's murder.
And I'm sorry, he's not Robin Hood. Robin Hood was, stealing from people, but he wasn't killing people.
Right.
So
and he was giving to the poor at least.
And this is coming from somebody who considers himself pretty progressive and pretty liberal.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, I'm not going to glamorize, somebody who at the end of the day killed someone, because you can make an argument that the guy he killed was a terrible person, a CEO that denied all these claims and indirectly killed all these people. But you know what? That was somebody's father. That was somebody's son. That was somebody's husband, so on and so forth.
Also, this was premeditated. This is not even a crime of passion.
And, I just don't think that is the answer, because then the problem with that, and many times I think this way. I don't know, sometimes my legal training sort of just manipulates the way I think things through, is that, where do you start and where do you end? Mm-hmm. So if you justify this killing, okay, well, what about the CEO of this guy and the CEO of this and the person in charge of that? And, a government official, it's just, you're opening up a very, very dangerous floodgate that is, you're sort of,
well, you're opening the
floodgates of like anarchy. Yeah. But what I think is very interesting, that a lot of people that probably donated money to him are people that have, for like the last year and a half, rant and raged about certain, killings and genocide and things like that. And it's like, well, are you donating money to many of the charitable organizations that are helping people in these parts of the world? Because if you are, I'll shut up. But if you're not, and you're giving money to this man, but you're not giving money to a lot of these organizations that you probably have gone on and on and on and on about these causes, then to me, that is a form of, of being a hypocrite, right? Because you're paying for the legal defense fund of somebody who at the end of the day killed someone. And again, I think we can agree that it is a terrible, terrible enterprise and form of a business that is insurance.
Yes, but here's the thing:
But
killing
that
this
doesn't give
man.
you carte blanche to kill someone.
Number one, doesn't give you carte blanche. But let's say we agree with, and I don't disagree that the health system, it's broken, right? Great. Was killing this man automatically gonna fix everything? No. So this wasn't even an act of, again, to use your Robin Hood thing, right?
Deductible. I still have one. So go ahead.
No, but to use your Robin Hood, comparison, right? Robin Hood would steal from the rich, give to the poor, so that the poor could then turn around and use the money to pay. Whatever. There was no end. There was no end game here, right? This was just an act, and at the end of the day, it was an act of just some impetuous little bitch.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't even. I won't even say that. He did what he did I mean, it was very premeditated. He did what he did. Obviously, he, in his mind, made up his reasons for it.
Well, so did Ted Bundy.
So I'm not even going to think about his headspace. I'm talking about the response. Right. Because you could say
they wanted to turn him into a folk hero.
You could say his intentions were noble, but his execution, literally execution, was terrible. Right. No pun intended. But the fact that they made him a hero and the fact that they idolize him and they sexualize him, and I just think it's
also, if he was unattractive, nobody would be. We wouldn't.
You know what? You probably make a really good point.
You probably
make a really good point.
If he wasn't this cute little 20-something with curly hair and pouty lips, nobody
and
would,
like shirtless pics,
right.
Hiking. You're probably right.
Right.
You're probably right. If it would have been somebody who looked very different, was middle aged, balding,
paunchy,
but they would have not.
No.
Right.
There's
it's sort of like a folklore around him, like, idolizing,
Listen, sir, you are no Billie Jean. Okay.
Well, fair is fair.
Exactly. And all she wanted was the scooter. And you know what? She got the scooter.
We will be invincible. Man, Pat Benatar.
Oh, so underappreciated.
Kids out there, if you haven't listened to Pat Benatar, you should. Pat Benatar, I think, is so damn underrated.
Underappreciated. Although she's been inducted to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I think people that
in the industry
are like 50 and over, because we're not Pat Benatar's demo. But I remember her from when she was a little kid. Like when I was a little kid, I remember those songs barely. But man, when you look back at Pat Benatar's catalog, like Ella tiene tremenda voz. I Love is a Battlefield.
It is.
Great song, great video.
Yeah, we are young.
Heartache. I love in 13 going on 30. Do you know the scene? When Jennifer Garner,
it's been a while since I've seen it.
When Jennifer Garner goes to the other girl, we are young.
Oh, yeah.
Heartache to heartache, we stand. So yeah.
Yes. Did you see that the nominees for this for this year's are out?
Yes.
You saw your girls on there.
Yes.
And do you
that doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's people.
Well, I mean, it's a nice nominees. It's a nice gesture.
It's funny because every time the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame come out, you're always like, wait, this person wasn't in the Hall of Fame, Like
they have to be, what is it, 20 years?
It's 25 years from their first album.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Cyndi Lauper's just now.
Because you know who's coming up in 2 years?
King.
In 2 years. In 3 years, Beyonce.
Oh my God!
And if she doesn't get put in the first round,
oh my God! We just ended one nightmare to come into another. Oh. Wait, is it hers or from the time with Destiny's Child?
Well, Destiny's Child would be this year because Destiny's Child first original album. No, actually, it's been more than 25 years.
Right.
Yeah, Destiny's Child's first album was in 1998.
Right. You know what? Where's their induction?
Which Destiny's Child would you induct?
All of them. Just bring them all in.
Do you remember how many there are?
Make a Destiny's orphanage. Just all the children.
Do you remember how many there are?
There's
6.
Yeah. Oh, damn it. Give me a minute.
You were going to say 5. Everybody will say 5, but technically there was 6.
No, there was 6 because there was the one that, was there for 10 minutes.
Fair.
And then I guess when in Say My Name, I guess she just stayed on that one contraption and just
What's your favorite Destiny's Child song? Destiny's Child here on Pero Let Me Tell You.
My favorite Destiny's Child song.
I know you see me watching me and I see you watching me.
So
that's an album cut.
Well, I was going to say, so I don't know their album tracks. So I'm going to have to base it off of singles only. I don't know. I like Jumpin'. It's not a great song, but it's just
because it's 11:30.
again. Also, as we discussed a couple episodes ago, I have a memory attached to that song, so I like that song.
Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, Bills is great.
Mm.
You know,
Is that when you learned the word trifling?
it is. It is.
I can't pick one, but it would probably be a tie between No 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 Part 2, although I really like No 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 Part 1.
Yes. You do always like the original more than the sequel.
I do. I love Say My Name, and I love Cater to You.
Oh, that's an okay song. Yeah.
That song is good, and like they all look so damn like. Have you seen that video?
No.
Cater to You. Oh my god, it's like, wow. It's like they look amazing in that video.
He's having a moment.
It can't. You know what the thing about her? You don't. I mean, seriously. I know you don't care for Beyonce. You don't think Beyonce's that pretty?
Oh, I think she's very pretty.
I think Beyonce's like one of the most stunning women on earth.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far.
I do. I've always liked Beyonce. Like I remember when I first saw her in No 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 Part 1. Yes. She was just 16. I'm like, oh my god, like all the girls in Destiny's Child were pretty, but she stood out. You know,
and it wasn't creepy because we also were underage.
Right.
Yeah.
So right.
Yes.
So it wasn't like, we were 19 and she was 16, right?
Right.
Well, no, 19 wouldn't be that bad. We weren't 28 and she was like,
right.
That was like came out now.
Right. Exactly.
Oh no, we say over there, Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a rant and a pet peeve.
Ooh, that's a combo.
Which it's been a pet peeve of mine for a while.
Okay.
So I just want to say this.
All right, so I'm gonna sit back.
I want to say this semi-publicly on the
he's
episode.
Just gonna go.
So, people, when you are at the supermarket or a store, why do you need to talk on speakerphone in your damn phone and have a full conversation in the middle of the produce department? I'm trying to find a good orange or a good apple, but instead you're talking about people. Viste que vamos pa fulano fue pa Cuba esta semana, and it's like, I'm sorry. We have like headphones in every sort of with wires, no wires. We have, noise canceling headphones. Why do you feel the need to have a full-blown conversation on speakerphone in the middle of a store? Like, why? It really irks me. Like, I want to go up to them and go, eres una grosera.
Oh, wow.
Una grosera.
My.
Doesn't grosera sound better in Spanish?
Yeah.
Than in English is just that you're rude.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what? But I will say, can we amend your rant, because I don't
to
disagree
Bluetooth
with
speakers?
You. No, to FaceTime.
Oh no, this includes FaceTime.
Oh, okay. This is okay.
I mean, look, I'll never forget. I've said this story before. A few years back, I was at the gym, and there I was waiting to do, the lateral pull downs, and this guy and 3 of his boys were there, and they were hogging up the lateral pull down machine, and he was having a full conversation with his whatever in Cuba, a friend of his in Cuba. And he's like, oye, bro, viste, estoy inmenso, mira. And I'm like, sir, I'm trying to use the pull down machine. Can we please get the show on the road here? And he was having like a full conversation through, FaceTime with his family or friends in Cuba. And I'm like, the gym is full right now, and I have to deal with this. And it's like, I feel that people have absolutely no type of just consideration about the people around me. Meanwhile, when I get a phone call in public, I'm like, hello. Well, how many times do I talk to you on the phone? I'm like, hello.
You sound like you're being sequestered. Like, it's like, what trunk are you in? Like, just knock 3 times if you need help.
It's so annoying. Well, it's so annoying. And you know who does it? My father. I've caught my father doing that in the store. Really? And I'm like, oye, quítale el altavoz al teléfono y póntelo en la oreja.
Well, I have started my own retaliation to that, which is if you're talking on the phone, or people sometimes will just literally just have like, they're just watching like an entire movie or whatever, like just on their phone, like whatever. I'm like, okay, you want to play this game? Let's play.
Let's play.
I listen to a lot of murder podcasts, and I listen to a lot of things that may be inappropriate. And so I find the most inappropriate podcast that I have, and I put it on all the way up, and I start playing it standing right next to them. 9 times out of 10, they start lowering their volume.
Think so?
And they put it away.
You think it's the same effect?
No. Well, they do. I mean, I'm just saying. You know what? Because I'm gonna fight fire with fire.
Too bad we don't have the, that we love saying it, the old Moviefone things. That would be great. Come on, let's do it, people.
Thank you for calling.
Don't run. No, don't walk. Don't run. And whatever you do, don't scream. Scream 3 now playing. for dates and showtimes, press 4. Scream playing at Womeco 9. For showtimes, press 1.
To hear these options again,
press 2.
But yeah, people, it's just the ultimate form of entitlement.
Moviefone. The kids will never understand.
No.
Never understand how good that was. It really was so good. What convenience.
That was a convenience that we needed.
Yeah.
That was a convenience because otherwise you had to call like each individual theater.
Yeah.
Be like, and then pray that you got somebody on the phone.
Yeah.
Because what if you didn't have that week's newspaper and you couldn't, see the
and
movie times?
Periódico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like I just aged
You know what's funny?
So
you know what's
hard.
funny? So we come from the generation of Moviefone for sure, right? We don't come from the generation of newspaper.
Can we rename ourselves instead of like millennials or whatever? Call ourselves the Moviefone.
I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that, Junior? The Moviefone.
I would say Blockbuster Generation.
Okay.
That's even better.
I'm good with either. Yeah, I'm good with either.
I'm doing
Yeah.
Although Moviefone was the anti-Blockbuster.
I think back then they worked hand in hand.
I mean, yeah, your Blockbuster night was as exciting as your Moviefone night.
Yeah, not like now where everything just goes to streaming.
Yeah.
Like if things just went to Blockbuster, you know that it was not a good
So
movie.
I don't know if you remember this. But we're not of the newspaper generation. I mean, like, hey, we're not 20 anymore, but we're not ancient. Hey, we're not of the newspaper generation. But I do remember, like, when we were in high school and all that we would go to the movies a lot, all of our friend group. I do remember there was a certain friend of ours that still looked up movie times on the newspaper, which today is still the friend of ours who writes checks and doesn't download apps.
Yep.
Zelle does not exist for her.
Nope. Zelle's just the second part of Guh.
And she is our age. So it's good that she's been consistent throughout the years.
Good for her. Good for her. She's not going to let technology dictate her life.
I think it's good to still have a checkbook because there are some times that maybe you do need to write a check.
With a check.
There's still some things that you still need to write a check for. But come on, if we're all like splitting a vacation rental or we're all splitting something.
Zelle me the money.
You're not going to Zelle me the money. You're going to write me a check. Like, I mean, look, I even understand that. Well, but you know what though? Well, no, because she's writing the check. Because I was going to say, when they give you a check with the phone app, it's super easy. You deposit it.
Right.
But she doesn't have checking. She doesn't have apps on her phone. So she can't even do that.
No, she has to go to the bank.
She has to go to the bank.
Yes, she has to speak to a teller.
Right. She probably doesn't even go through the drive-thru.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that like a vacuum.
I still think that's great technology.
I love it. I see it and I'm just like, wow.
I hate whenever I have to do that at the bank and I'm like, I have to press the pen. Oye, no me pusieron una pluma. And I don't have a pen in my car. So I have to put the tube back and you have
pneumatic
to let
tube.
it come
That's what
again.
it's called. A pneumatic tube.
A what?
A pneumatic tube.
A pneumatic tube?
Yeah.
Un tubo pneumático.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that thing getting clogged?
But it does.
That probably has a plunger of its own.
How do you unclog a pneumatic tube?
Listeners,
that sounds like a Fiona Apple title for an album.
Fiona Apple. We could have a whole podcast episode on Fiona Apple.
But we won't, because it's bullshit.
This world is bullshit.
Yeah.
Maya Angelou said. If you know, you know. So we're the Blockbuster generation. So this would be
like
30, late 30s, early 40s.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Blockbuster generation.
I like that.
I like that too. Good naming, Junior.
Yes, good call. Good call.
Good call.
Yeah. Back when if something was straight to video, it was not good. Whereas now streaming is just what it is.
What was straight to video? Beauty and the Beast 2. I remember
all the sequels.
I
all
remember
the Disney
watching
sequels.
that and being esta tremenda mierda.
Like, Return to Jafar, Return to Blockbuster.
I do think Return to Jafar was one of the more popular straight-to videos.
Wait, that was, I think, was that the third one?
No, it was the second one.
The second one, Return of Jafar, yeah.
Yeah. But that one was one of the more popular ones.
Wait, but doesn't mean it was good.
Wasn't there like a Cinderella 2 in like the early 2000s?
I was going to say Cinderella 2 Turn Back Time. Like when Cinderella was Cher.
Right. That's like, isn't there like a Cruel Intentions 4 or something?
Yes, because why do I know this? So what happened was they were going to make a Cruel Intentions TV series, and then they turned the pilot into Cruel Intentions 2. Yes, and then they did like 4 more after that. Yeah.
But was Sebastian going to be in it?
Well, no, he's dead.
Well, I know, but you were going to have Cruel Intentions without Sebastian?
They can just get somebody else to be the anti-hero.
I remember when I saw that movie, I went the next day to Bird Eines and bought a blue shirt. Now I'm like, I need to go stand in an escalator. That's a great scene.
That is a great scene.
And then what's so good about that scene in Cruel Intentions is the song playing, Colorblind by ¿Cómo se llaman ellos? Mr. Jones and me.
Counting Crows.
Counting Crows.
No. What I just thought of was you saying like, a blue shirt, I'm going to stand at the end of an escalator. I'm just picturing you doing that at like, the Bird-Eines and like, some Migdalia being like, mijo, pero muévete. Que tú estás ahí parado con esas flores.
I wouldn't have gone to the airport. I would have gone to Macy's or Bird-Eines. At that time, it was Bird-Eines.
Although at that time, I guess, you still could have gone into the airport because it was pre 9/11. So you could have.
Well, you could still go into the airport.
No. But now to go through this through TSA. What I mean is,
right? No. But Annette already had her bag. She had already. No, Annette was leaving.
Right.
Okay, in my mind, she hadn't gone through TSA yet. Well, no, this was pre 9/11. So
yeah. So she that's back when you could be like, oh, I'm just gonna go have lunch with you before your flight, and you could just walk through TSA.
That was back in the days when you could board a cruise ship with your family.
Yeah, you could have lunch. The before times.
That's why I had in the 80s and 90s, I went on all of Carnival's fleet because like whenever my tias and tios con mis primos hermanos would go on a Carnival cruise,
including los tío
político, we go have lunch with them on the Lido deck.
Yeah, that was a thing. You can't do that anymore.
There has to have been somebody who snuck in.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, but I mean, nowadays, you mean?
Mm-hmm. No, back then.
Back then, 100%. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah, somebody was a stowaway.
Y no se apeaban del banco.
That's such a great word.
Apear. Apear sounds smelly and sticky.
Yeah, like why would you apearte in public?
Apear. Oh wow, that was a great time. I remember when going on the Carnival, ecstasy was like bougie shit.
Yes. Not anymore.
No. Different times.
Although there's a new ecstasy, right?
No.
Which is aren't they recycling?
New celebration.
Oh, okay.
There's a new celebration, a new Jubilee, and a new Mardi Gras.
Oh, okay.
But we haven't gotten to ecstasy yet.
Okay, so we're still celebrating.
Yeah, they need to go. Carnival would have to go back to their older ION, the sensation, fascination, inspiration, elation.
That's right, the elation.
Yeah. Constipation. Imagine if they come up with like the carnival,
the relaxation,
the carnival constipation, and all the food in the buffet is high fiber.
Prunes and high fiber.
There's a prune bar.
Oh.
Ay, estamos comiendo mierda.
We are eating with the chicken nibbles.
With the chicken nibbles. Anyway, do you have something else for me, or are we thirsty?
I think we're thirsty.
I think we're thirsty.
I think we are thirsty.
So I know who I want to give my shout out to in Last Soda this week.
Okay, bring it.
So I love, especially now in the days, this is one of the, I think, good things about social media. There's a lot of bad things, but this is one of the good things is that a lot of times companies become really creative with their social media, and they sort of become petty or like, push the envelope a little bit. Yeah. And it's sort of refreshing sometimes to see corporate America have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because so many times they don't. Did you hear what Duolingo did?
Yes.
I always want to say Dua Lipa.
And apparently there's a reason for that.
Did you see what they did?
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, Duolingo, I was going to say Dua Lipa again. Duolingo this week killed off their mascot, that Duo the Owl.
Duo the Owl.
And what was great about it, because again, obviously they did this so it could try to go viral. Right. But as we know, sometimes that doesn't always happen, was that then different entities like the Golly Green Giant was like giving his condolences and all these other brands and brand mascots. The one that hasn't given her condolences yet is Elsie, the cow from Borden.
Well, she's probably very busy.
But it's being milked.
I mean, being a dairy cow is a full-time job.
So as a result of that, like all these corporations and all these mascots have given their condolences to Duolingo and have talked about how beautiful and wonderful the owl of Duolingo is. And, I was like, well done, marketing team. Like, sometimes those things are really funny. You know what I think is hilarious? Hilarious. Do you know that KFC only follows like 10 people and 5 of the people it follows are the Spice Girls? But they follow each Spice Girl
individually
because of the 11 herbs and spices. I think that is genius. That is genius. That is so smart.
That is so genius. I'm looking for something right now because to kind of piggybacking off what you're talking about.
So do they have 4 spices or 5 spices in their 11 herbs and spices?
Well, they have to have 5.
Well, maybe they have 4.
No, they follow all 5.
Okay, so that means they have 5 spices,
right?
And the rest are herbs.
The rest are herbs.
If then they follow the accounts of like peaches and herbs.
Okay, that would be great. Okay, and that would be fantastic. So actually, I was looking for something because now that we're talking about mascots and companies that have a sense of humor. So over the weekend, the Super Bowl was in New Orleans. The agency I work for is based in New Orleans, and Cheetos had a huge presence there where they had like this big Chester cheetah on top of one of the riverboats. But they just sent us a picture of all of the mascots, like the food mascots, arriving at the hotel with their luggage. And this is like real people dressed up.
That is hilarious.
So like that's the Kool-Aid Man luggage.
Are these broccoli?
Yes, because the Jolly Green Giant.
Oh yes.
Like, to your point, I love when they do stuff like this.
That's hilarious.
It's fun. They're enjoying themselves.
That's hilarious. I mean, I think that, it's smart because especially now in this world that so many people have things to say about capitalism and corporate America, keep it lively, keep it fun.
Have a sense of humor.
Have a sense of humor.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, if you're a investment hedge fund, you're just fucked anyway. Yeah. So nobody's going to like you anyway, so don't even try.
Enjoy the broccoli suitcase.
But if you're, one of these companies with a mascot, what's your favorite mascot?
My favorite mascot, I like the Keebler Elves.
Okay, that's a good one.
I like the Keebler. I feel like they don't get enough love lately, but I like the Keebler Elves. I mean, they live in a tree and they bake cookies.
Who else?
The Snuggle Bear is a classic.
Yeah, that's a classic too. I have a Snuggle Bear from when I was a kid.
That's a classic.
When I was a kid, I think
like Flo from
Flo.
Progressive.
Yeah. Okay, I guess she's the mascot. When I was a kid, I think my favorite mascots were the bubbles.
The scrubbing bubbles?
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm still to this day pissed off they don't come out.
They don't come out. I thought when I was a kid, I remember when my mom would buy it, I'm like, those are not the scrubbing bubbles.
At all.
And I would want her to get the brand, but she didn't get the name brand.
Of course not, yeah.
Yeah, the cheap one. I think those were my favorites. Then, I have a soft spot for the Goodyear, not the Goodyear, the Michelin boy.
Michelin Man.
The Michelin Man. He's just jolly. And then, of course, who doesn't like the Doughboy?
Yeah.
You know who I don't like?
Who don't?
I don't like Ronald McDonald. But actually, no, I take back everything. Wow. My favorite mascot has always been, and will always be Grimace.
The Grimace.
Grimace. That's why I'm wearing purple.
That's right. Yes.
The Grimace shake, not so much. But Grimace is not good.
The Grimace shake just tasted like
I'm so happy
diabetes.
That last year whenever Grimace got, his flowers.
Yes. We should all give Grimace flowers.
A mí nunca me gustó that Mayor McDuffle, or como se llamaba.
Mayor McCheese.
Eso mismo. I didn't like that. Those things with the braids.
The fry guys?
Eso mismo. I didn't like that either.
So you like nothing in McDonald land?
Ronald McDonald's freaks me out. I think the Burger King is freaky as hell.
You know what weirds me out about Ronald McDonald? That they always change his hair every once in a while. Do you remember when he had like that señora? Like pelo lacio?
Yeah. It's like Miss Piggy.
No, except when Piggy changes her hair,
Yeah.
it's acceptable.
I thought that Wendy's glow up was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my favorite is Grimace.
Yeah, Grimace.
Right
here.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
The best, the greatest. Grimace.
The Grimace.
I wonder how that creative team came up with that. Well, let's just come up with a purple glob. Maybe it was the same creative team that came up with the Gumby.
He actually started off as like a villain character.
How come villain?
And he had another set of arms. He had 4 arms, I think.
I don't know why that made me laugh. More arms so he could steal more cheeseburgers?
I guess, but he wasn't the Hamburglar.
Right.
Rubble.
Isn't the Hamburglar's name Randy? Wait, or am I?
I've never seen his rap sheet, so I don't know.
Wait, where did
what
I
he's
get
booked
that
under.
from? Where did he get that from?
I don't know. What, Randy the Hamburglar? Like,
do you remember the finger from the Yellow Pages?
was that Randy?
But you know what I'm talking
Of course
about,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well,
Put your fingers to the
Gone but
taco.
not forgotten. This is a very polarizing figure. I think we've talked about him on Pero Let Me Tell You before. This is a very polarizing figure. I liked him. A lot of people hated him. Was Clippy.
I didn't hate Clippy. I just didn't have a use for Clippy.
But I would just have him there.
Oh, no. There's no need for Clippy to be present. No.
I'd be typing. I'm like, Clippy, you're looking at me.
Yeah, no. I don't need some inanimate metal object that's judging me and my abilities on Microsoft Word.
Man, if Clippy would be watching me when I used Excel, it would not have gone well.
No, he'd be upset.
I think that people that master Excel should have like some sort of like pension.
Oh, okay. I'd like a pension.
I think Excel is just so complicated.
Excel is one of those things where, like, when you use it as much as I do, it's not complicated, but I understand why people think that.
Oh, you're a spreadsheet person.
Well, by default, it's not like I chose this life.
The spreadsheet chose you.
Spreadsheet life.
Oh.
Spreadsheet chose me.
Give me a good Word document any day.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Wait, it was before Microsoft Word, it was Word Perfect.
That's right.
Word Perfect.
Yes.
Web Perfect. That's
Word
right.
Perfect. Yes,
Yeah.
which sounds grammatically incorrect.
Yeah.
All right. So my last soda, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. My last soda is actually for a meme that's going around that if you haven't seen it, you have to. So, the Grammys last week or 2 weeks ago, Gaga debuted a new song, Abracadabra, a new video. It's great. The song is fantastic. It's classic Gaga, all of that, right? Well, there's now a meme, and you've seen it. There's now a meme out there that compares her song, which came out in 2025, with a song that came out in 2019, also named Abracadabra, also featuring someone dressed in a very similar red outfit.
Red hat,
like the big brim, everything, but someone that we probably wouldn't have associated with a Gaga. Now, it is a Spanish language artist, and your first thought might be like, oh, Alejandra Guzman.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't fault you if that was your first guess.
Shakira,
maybe it's Yuri trying something out, But no, it's Elvis Crespo.
I wasn't so surprised at the Elvis Crespo of it all.
You were not.
No.
Of all the people,
Elvis Crespo is ridiculous.
Okay, fair enough.
He has a song called Píntame.
Okay, fair enough. But I don't think I would have ever made the connection from Elvis Crespo to Lady Gaga.
I wouldn't have made the connection.
To this degree,
I wouldn't
down to
have
the
made
name of the song.
But when I saw it, I was like, yeah, Elvis Crespo.
Okay.
I mean, if it would have been Alejandro Sanz, I would have been like, okay. Or like,
Rafael.
Or Alejandro Fernandez.
Right.
That would have been kind of funny, though.
That would have been great.
Alejandro Fernandez. Or, no, Bad Bunny would have been totally for it.
It would have been fun.
Ricky Martin, too. Okay. But Elvis Crespo, yeah.
Yeah. So, again,
It's ridiculous.
Find it. It's great. It's like 10 seconds long, the meme. But yeah, you know what? It just brings me joy to know that Gaga's not cribbing from Madonna this time.
Mm-hmm.
Because Madonna hasn't done anything magic oriented.
I don't know. Has she?
She doesn't strike me as magical.
No.
No.
The bitch doesn't believe in shit.
No, the Kabbalah. That's it. That's where the magic begins and ends. Yeah.
I don't know, but I still think of, I don't even think of any of those two songs. I think of abracadabra. I want to reach out and grab you.
Even that would have made more sense than the fact that Elvis Crespo, it's not even that she's cribbing a look from a video. It's that she's cribbing his look from a video that is also called Abracadabra.
It's too much coincidence.
Right. Like, do you think this means that little monsters are secretly into like Suavemente?
Suavemente.
Like maybe the Venn diagram between little monsters and Elvis Crespo fans is much
that
closer.
song, but in like obviously I know it in Spanish, but in English. I wanna feel your lips, kiss me on
that's
again.
right. He did it in English as well.
Otro coro.
Kissing me. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, good for him.
Yeah, listen, hey, we're still talking about him.
Kept on all these years.
He's had a career, so he's doing something right. Apparently, he's doing something that's, imitable by Gaga. So
imagine if she would have knocked that off, I don't know, like Thalia or something. Yeah, there would have been a post.
No.
Oh my God, the Lady Gaga. I love my red hat.
No, because Thalia's not avant-garde.
Thalia had candelabras for, boobs. Like.
Yeah, but that's like just Thalia being like, ay, qué lindo. Not Thalia being like an artist.
Meanwhile, that Lady Gaga song and video, I was like, is this a commercial?
Well, it's like the one last year that they did with SZA. MasterCard, now they do a video during.
For some reason, of those things I remember the
SZA
most.
or her?
What I remember the most was some years ago that Gwen Stefani did one for Target and they were roller skating.
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching this. I was like, is this a video or is this a commercial?
That it was supposed to be like a one-take video.
Yeah, or is it both?
Yes. Two things can be true at once.
Yeah. And it was both, because at the end they're roller skating on a Target.
Yes. And then they announced that they had her album at Target.
Anyway, Lady Gaga and Elvis Crespo, imagine that had a co-headline tour.
I mean, maybe he'll show up at Coachella. That would be fantastic. Now I want this to happen. I'm going to manifest it.
The Abracadabra and Abracadabra remix. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Or tomate.
Tomate. You know what's gross? Clamato.
Ew.
Tomato and clam juice. Who in the hell thought that was a good idea?
Thought about that bullshit.
Oh, have I ever told you my parents in tomato juice?
No, but now you have to.
Oh my God. This is hilarious. So in my parents' house, growing up, even now, there's no tomato juice.
Okay.
I didn't grow up having tomato juice in the fridge.
Yeah, it's not.
Right. Put those people on a plane 30,000 feet in the air, and when that little drink cart is passing, que quieren de tomar, jugo de tomate. And I'm like, what is it about high altitude that makes you want to have tomato juice?
But just tomato juice, not Bloody Marys.
Do you think my parents have Bloody Marys?
Well, listen. Well, I wouldn't have thought they had tomato juice.
No.
I don't know what happens at that altitude.
Juice. Jugo de tomate. And I'm like, it doesn't fail.
Just tomato juice.
Just tomato juice. And they do this on both domestic and international flights. Like, it's always like tomato. You know what I think it is? I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I've actually broken this down.
Okay.
I think it's that they don't like tomato juice enough para comprar el pomo completo.
Okay.
Porque después compran el pomo de jugo de tomate and they only drink a little bit and then se desperdicia. But I think they like it enough that if it's being offered to them
for free, they'll have it.
They'll have it. And then, what's one of the most common times that you have assorted beverages given to you, included in your fare on a flight?
On a flight.
I think that's why.
I'm going to agree with you.
It does not fail. Even on connecting flights. Because when we went to Italy this summer, they ordered the tomato juice in the transatlantic flight and then in the connecting flight. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but this has always been the case.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, they need to be 30,000 feet up in the air and they're like, jugo de tomate. And every single time it doesn't fail. My mom's like, ¿Tú no tomas jugo de tomate? And I'm like, no, Mom, I don't. And I don't like ketchup, right? Like, always.
Well, that's like my father. You don't eat shrimp? And I'm like, no, that's why I'm alive.
Yeah. Ay, qué dramático. You don't have that, you don't walk around with an EpiPen.
I know, but it's more dramatic if you say it that way.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Oh my God, that reminds me one time. We'll close now. Felt so bad. My nephew's like really allergic.
Oh, yes.
And he has a tree nut allergy. And a few years ago, my sister-in-law calls me. She's like, oh my God, he had an allergic reaction. And it was one of these things that like, she couldn't get in touch with my brother. She couldn't get in touch with my parents. Like, it was one of those things that for some reason, like everybody around her was like, she couldn't get in touch with them. And she's like, oh my God, like they took him to the hospital. Like, can you come? And I'm like, of course. I had never really seen anybody in the middle of an allergic reaction. So I walk into the emergency room and I'm like, oh, you know, you had an allergic reaction. When I walk into the room and I go, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
swollen.
I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I just like did this in front of him and I made him feel 100 times worse. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I wasn't expecting you to be swollen up like the Goodyear bimp. Like, I was like, what? I was like, I don't know. I just thought que tenía una picazón or something like that.
No,
but his tongue was swollen.
Yes, and ese es el peligro.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, because you can choke.
I just thought que era una picazón. Like,
No. He has allergies, not sadna.
yeah. Remember, the two things as kids that we thought were going to be a bigger problem, poison ivy and quicksand.
That's true.
You know, we thought this was just going to be such a problem in the adult world.
An never-ending, skirting around quicksand.
And for us, the Blockbuster generation, I mean, I still have trauma over Never-Ending Story when the horse gets stuck in the mud. I mean, we should get reparations for therapy over that movie.
I think we're going to start a campaign.
Yeah.
We'll start one.
Anyway, Artax. No, it was Atreyu.
Atreyu.
No, wait, who's Artax?
I know that's from somewhere, but I don't know where.
It's from there too.
Is that no?
Bastian, just say my name.
And then Beyonce comes in.
One move and I will strip you to shreds. The Nothing. I wonder if that movie hasn't been redone.
No, but give it time.
Because kids don't use their imagination or read.
No, they don't. It would basically just be a movie about kids watching other kids play video games.
Never-ending story. Anyway, well, everybody, we hope you listened, laughed, and learned. And
this
as
was
always,
like a never-ending episode.
Yeah, remember to grab your croqueta, your pastelito, and cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
That was episode 330.
3:30.
Yeah, ahorita viene 4:40.
I just took it out of my mouth.
All right, so we would say that 5 menos 20. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.